and supporter of one of the major opposition parties in Singapore. Mr. Nazryn.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Today I'm going to talk to you about the immigration policy. To all concerned Singaporeans, today I am going to address to you a topic that has been revolving around so frequently and at most times ignoring the consensus of the very public that placed them in power, the immigration policy. At this point of time, let us ponder if what has been spilled onto us for the past decade or so holds water. We have been told time after time that we need to accelerate the influx of immigrants into our country, but have you stopped and think at what cost? With the world facing an impending economic storm, the government, being the servants of the people, have to ensure all ages are covered for the country and for the very people that put them to power, the very people who made Singapore to what it is today, will be able to weather this uncertainty. We take pride in our population being more educated than it ever has been in the country's history. People who are anchoring in many fields and industries, filling up the qualified skilled workers database, and absorbing the government's export-oriented foreign investment economy with abundance of human resource never seen in this country's history. But of late, we see more workers getting displaced, facing unprotected labor situations, resulting in unfair retrenchments and contract terminations. And now with a stifling job market, we are told the influx of foreign talents will be sharing the economic pie with the citizens of this country. Is this right? We know many speakers with credible economic background have defected back to government's economic policies that could have been obsolete and in need of an overhaul to save jobs for Singaporeans. But let us not forget the crux of this problem lies with the overly liberal immigration policy. True enough, we have been told over and over again that we are facing labor shortages in certain sectors, jobs that are so-called shunned by Singaporeans, but even PMET jobs are taking a hit now. Have the government forgot their responsibility towards the citizens of this very country that brought this nation to where it is today? Where is the transparency? Don't you think we need a serious overhaul in our immigration policy? We need to ensure that job securities of every Singaporean are safe and secured before we begin scouting for foreign professionals with the needed expertise that could contribute to our economic growth. There needs to be a qualifying test before foreigners are given the employment pass, and as such, no morally responsible government should put their own citizens on an unfair wage competition platform. When the people in Parliament are discussing ministerial salaries that have been reduced from millions per annum to another millions per annum, there are many who are facing an economic crunch, having to juggle with job security and the healthy upbringing of a family. There are many who are still drawing $5 per hour on a half-day shift, and I mean 12-hour shift, to provide just the crucial necessities for the family. And there are many who have to deal with stagnant pay or even pay cuts, which quite oppose to the hefty housing loan which the price tag to a public housing flag has entered into the insane lane and the rising cost of living. While we are told that foreigners are odd with our urban development, let us remind ourselves that there are foreign tourists who have came to me before, who are horrified to see elderly men and women shaking their way to clean tables in franchise eateries and food courts. And they ask, is it that your government do not have a sound pension scheme, or the people are just not in the habit of saving for an old age? Surely too, our labor law needs a serious review, and not just their billion-dollar salaries. With a growing economy faced with tribulations from competitive markets in Asia, surely we need creative enterprises and innovative commercial directions to foster alternative economic growth. However, instead of slowing down population growth and take this perfect moment to mold our workforce with more competitive skill sets, the government has instead placed our workers in a competitive wage market which is unfair and definitely immoral. Do we still need people who have lost their moral bearing to lead this country? I shall leave that for Singaporeans to express in consensus in the next general election. But for today, my brothers and sisters, let us take this time to reflect on the very policies that are stripping many men and women of their pride and dignity. Men and women who have served this country well, one way or another, but helpless and voiceless, bound beneath the glass ceiling, where people above that very ceiling are orchestrating policy formulations. And if they are looking down from that glass ceiling, they simply see and look what is happening, but they do not feel the boiling tension which is brewing. I'm going to close my speech to call the government to seriously relook into the immigration policy. Table up a proposal to ensure profession-specific jobs are in shortage before allowing foreigners applying under that scheme to receive an employment pass and thus a permanent residency status. Review the validity of the certifications experienced before having the pass granted. Ensure that Singaporeans will be given the highest of all priorities to develop and maintain their profession and career growth before filling up the gaps needed by foreigners. Increase the fee attached to employment pass and permanent residency applications. Be sincere in the propagation to skills upgrading. The government has been doing well so far in closing down errant private schools, do upkeep institutions which are not totally government funded but are offering diplomas, degrees and other certifications that could eventually improve household economies of our dear countrymen. What do we do with the amount saved in the recent ministerial salaries cut? Use it to subsidize those pursuing their further studies in private institutions. We need a government run on compassionate ground. The great civilization of the world marked their territory in history because the policymakers there ensured that their subjects are always held in the highest of all priority, not the territorial expansion, not the military adventure, and not the breathtaking physical landmarks that they have evolved, but the moral grounding it has on its subjects. Thank you.